Coming from the farthest reaches of the universe to challenge the worst toy repairs on Earth is the most powerful hero ever, Toy Polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from Toy Polloi, and in today's video we're going to be looking at repairing the missing finger on this vintage Thundercats Bengali figure. Now this isn't my figure, this was sent over to me by Luke from Reynolds Reviews. If you haven't checked out his channel then please do, I'll put a link to that in the description. It was a grail item for him and he said he was really pleased with it, but saw that one of the fingers was missing. You see his little finger here is missing and asked if I could fix it up. So this is going to be a sort of quick fix video today because I've shown how to repair fingers many times, but I've never done it on a Thundercats figure, so that's the only thing that's new for me today. Is I've never worked on Thundercats figures before, but it should be fairly straightforward. Using a bit of a paperclip and some milliput we should be able to sculpt something, and then it's a case of matching the paint. Now I do hope to do more Thundercats videos in the future. In fact, I've been collecting Thundercats for quite a while. I'm just missing a few pieces that I need before I start doing those videos, and in fact here is my bag of figures of what I will be fixing in the future. Everybody's favourite character, Lion-O. And as you can see, I have rather a lot of them in various states of being broken. Currently, I have enough figures, but what I'm missing is the accessory. So that's something I'm looking for. Once I get all of those, I will do a proper video on how to restore Lion-O and get everything working, fix the mechanism, fix the lights, and basically get him back up and running. Because as you can see, I've got rather a lot of broken ones. But in the meantime, let's fix up this Bengali figure so that we can send it back to Luke. The first thing we need to do before we start sculpting with milliput is put something in here that we can build on top of, and for that I'm just going to be using a bit of paperclip. You can see this is just the remains of a paperclip. I'm going to drill a very tiny hole into the remains of his finger using my pin vise. This has got the correct size drill bit. I'm going to insert a piece of paperclip, we'll glue that in with some super glue. Once that's set, I can then mix up the milliput and we'll start sculpting on top. If you don't do that, there's not enough sort of structure or surface area for the milliput to attach to, so the finger will very easily break off. This little bit of extra support is all you need, and then it will be a really nice firm bond, and by the time it's sort of sanded and painted, I don't think anyone will notice that it's been repaired. So let's drill this hole and insert a small bit of paperclip, and then we can start on the milliput. So there's the basic shape. I've got a pretty reasonable looking finger. It's a little bit large at the moment because what I'm going to do is let this set overnight, and I'll come back to this tomorrow and I'll do fine tuning with some small files and some fine grit sandpaper and sand this down finally. But at the moment that's not looking too bad at all. That doesn't look like the finger has been replaced, and because the Millepert's white it's already sort of blended in, but I will paint this finally as well. But yeah, not bad for a first pass. Let's let this set overnight and we'll do the fine tuning tomorrow. It's now a day later and the Milliput has had time to set, so I can go ahead and sort of do some fine tuning. I've got a selection of different files here. This is just a nail file. There's some 1000 grit sandpaper here and a couple of other needle files, and I'm just going to carefully sort of shape this. It's actually not too bad. It's pretty close to how I want it, so I'm just going to sort of fine tune it really, and we'll get that looking as close to the original finger as we can. Okay, so I think I am happy with that. It's got about the right sort of thickness to it. By the time that's got some paint on, that should look pretty close to the original. So now we've got to mix up some paint and match this. Shouldn't be too hard to match the paint either. It just looks like it's a white gloss. You can see some of the blue, the plastic is sort of coming through on the underneath. So it's got a slight blue tinge to it, but I think that's just from the blue plastic. So let's give that a paint and then we'll call that one finished. Right, so for paint, I'm going to be using some Vallejo model colours. This is just a flat white. It finishes with a matte finish, so I will put a clear top coat on, possibly just a satin finish on this one. I know maybe a gloss. They're quite shiny, these hands, but let's give this a bit of paint and see what happens. As I say, there's blue plastic underneath this white paint, so it does actually have a slight tinge of blue to it. So I have also got some blue out. This is Vallejo 70.841 Andrea blue, which I may just put a tiny amount of that in the white paint to make it match. But let's try with the white first and see what it looks like. It may just look too white. Yeah, that really does look too white. So I'm going to put a tiny amount of blue into this white, mix that up just to give it a slight tinge, so it's just not pure white, and we'll see how that looks. Sometimes you have to sort of bear in mind what is underneath the paint that you're trying to match, and in this instance it's the blue plastic that is sort of really shining through, so just a little bit of blue in that. Yeah, that looks better already. Still slightly too much blue, so let's just water that down a bit more with the white. Like so, let's try that. Yeah, I think that's about right. It just looked odd being too pure white, so a little bit of blue in that will hide that quite well. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Maybe still even just a bit too much blue. It really is just a touch of blue in that, but we'll get there. Yeah, I think that's looking quite reasonable. So let's paint that up. I'll sort of shade it in a bit, let it dry, and then we'll put a clear top coat on of a gloss finish. I'm also going to just touch up the tip of that finger as well because it's bugging me. There we go. That paint has now had time to dry, and I think it's as close as I'm going to get colour wise, and it really doesn't look too bad. You can see that that just looks like a normal finger. I don't think anyone would particularly notice that that had been repaired, so I need to put a top coat on it. As I say, this paint has got a fairly sort of glossy finish to it, so what I'm using is this, which is Vallejo Gloss Varnish. This is 70.510. I'm just going to put a thin amount of that over the top of it, and I think that should match in the sort of the general sort of tone and finish of this paint to match the original stuff, and then we'll call that done. And here we go. Here is the finished Bengali. As you can see, that finger now matches pretty closely. I'm very happy with how that's turned out. It's about the right sort of shape in that, and I think I've got the paint match as close as I'm going to get. So for this, I'm going to now return to Luke over at Reynolds Reviews, and he can put that back in his collection. And in the meantime, I'm going to continue hunting for parts for the Lion-O figures that I have. I need to get all of the accessories, and then I can start working on a proper project and a proper restoration based on Thundercats, because I know it's something that everybody has been asking for. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching Toy Polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow Toy Polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.